Welcome back, everyone, to the cigar smoke filled back room. I am Doug with Tusk Consulting, tuskconsulting at gmail.com, tuskconsulting at gmail.com. If you're a pro gun Republican and you need political consulting help, drop me a line at that email. We'll help you. If you're not a pro gun Republican, get out of here. So, had some feedback from my last video. Before we get too far into that, the cigar of the day is a Diesel Whiskey Row series. And the bottle of the day is James E. Pepper. This is their cask strength, I believe, barrel proof, they want to call it that. 105.4 proof bourbon. Very bold. Drinks a little bit warmer than 105.4, honestly. Again, these are not sponsors to the program, but we could work on that. Anyhow, after our last, and yes, I have my hat on because it's January in Ohio, and even with the space heater out here, it's only so warm. After our last video, had some feedback. In that video, I said that, hey, Republicans, pro gun Republicans, how about you guys spend time attacking rhetorically, metaphorically, attacking Democrats instead of each other? And so the feedback I got was, hey, Doug, that's a great idea. How about you try some of that? All right, fair point. So the next several videos, we're going to be focusing on some issues. And hey, what issue comes naturally to me is my top A number one priority, other than the gun issue. So today, we're going to be talking about the Democrats and their stance on the gun issue. And one thing that should be very obvious, the Democrats hate guns. They just do. Some more than others, but it's an extremely bad issue for them, and they're very much out of step with the mainstream of America. But anyhow, why do this? Why go after the Democrats on the gun issue or really any of these other issues? Well, for us pro-gun Republicans, we want to tear down the Democrat hopefuls and make them less electable. Because see, here's the trick: as we start closing in on the next election cycle, some Democrat is going to emerge as the front runner, as the flag carrier, the person who leads the way for all the Democrats on the slate. And when that happens, they're going to say that they're moderate. Because see, Democrats win by sounding like Republicans, or at least sounding like moderates, even though they govern as liberals. And so they're going to try to seem reasonable, try to appeal to the middle, blah, 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 blah. My goal here is to make sure that the truth about their positions is known in advance, beforehand, so that when they start to slip and slide towards the middle, they can be called out on it very, very quickly. Hence, make them less electable. So, what would the Democrats do on the gun issue if they had a chance? For the record, if you're curious about anybody's issue stance on just about anything, there's a really great website called it's www.ontheissues.org. Wonderful website, really handy for looking stuff up. It's not the end all be all, but it is very very handy. Good synopsis, especially for you hear a name that you don't know much about them. You look them up on there, you can get a pretty good idea where they sit. So, what would the Democrats do on the gun issue? Well, all kinds of things. They'd try red flag laws. They would try bans on semi-automatics. They would try magazine capacity bans, et cetera, et cetera. And let's be clear, this is not just for those places that have always been blue. Look at Colorado right now. Colorado used to be a red state. Now it's a blue state. And they have done all kinds of crazy things there already, including there's a magazine capacity limit in the state of Colorado, 15 round max. But are they stopping there? Is that a common sense gun law that they're happy with and then can just go home? Oh, no, 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 no. No, no, no. They're actually just recently proposed a law that would effectively ban any semi-auto. Okay, because it bans semi-auto that takes a detachable magazine. Well, very few semi-autos don't. Okay, like the M1 Grand, maybe, I guess. But it is a effectively a semi-auto ban. That this bill that was just introduced into the Colorado state legislature. So just because they get something doesn't mean they stop. They keep going and going and going and continue to try to infringe our rights. And of course, they do that for obvious reason that they hate guns. They just do. So let's talk about who some of the potential frontrunners could be for a 2028 presidential run. And I know. Doug, it's January 24, or well, 25. What are you talking about 28 for? It'll be here before you know it. And especially once we get to the midterms, these people are going to start trying to rehabilitate their image bigly, and this is an effort to block that. So let's run down the list real quick. I got like 7 or 8 of them here. Ruben Gallego, he's well rumored to be interested in going for president. What kinds of things, anti-gun stuff, is he in favor of? Well, he's in favor of gun buyback programs, restricting guns, the universal background check, sometimes called closing the gun show loophole, which really all that is basically saying that you cannot engage in private transactions of firearms, even within your own state, even between family members, which is just stupid. Okay, it's absolutely stupid, and it's infringement on our rights. Another potential Democrat hopeful, J.B. Pritzker, he's in favor of banning assault weapons, high capacity magazines, and wants common sense gun laws, which are whatever he says they are. Yeah, notice that. Like, his common sense ain't my common sense. It's whatever he says it is at the time, right? Josh Shapiro is one of those names that's been thrown around a lot. Was widely considered to be a possible running mate choice for Kamala Harris. He wants to regulate ghost guns and close loopholes. What's a loophole in Democrat lexicon? It's anytime you get to exercise your freedoms and they don't have a say in it. That's a loophole, okay? It's not a loophole. It's called freedom, and it works pretty much every time. Hey, is freedom messy and hard? Yeah, yeah, it is. Still beats any other system we got. Wes Moore is another potential candidate that is floated out there by the Democrats. He wants to ban ghost guns. This is the second time I mentioned ghost guns. Let's talk about what ghost guns are. Uh, Ghost guns are what Democrats call essentially homemade firearms. There is an 80%, and again, I'm not a lawyer, I'm not, so not a legal advice, but as I understand it, the ATF says that something that is less than 80% complete is not a firearm. So there are companies out there that have sold or perhaps still do sell kits that essentially have everything almost up to 80%, but not quite, and then instructions on how you can finish it at home, with a drill press or, whatever, relatively simple tools. Maybe not all hand tools, there's some power tools be required, but still, you don't have to weld anything, you have to forge anything, right? It's mostly done, just a little bit more yet to complete. And look, lest you think this is some quirk of firearms as it regards federal policy, it's not. In the aviation world, there's experimental and amateur build kit aircraft that have a different number for percent completeness that you can sell a kit as and not have to comply with the certification rules as a manufacturer of an aircraft. So it's more than just firearms that fall under this odd, some number percentage that if it's not that complete, then you don't have to comply with all the requirements. That's a ghost gun. A ghost gun is you made it. Yeah, maybe from a kit, but regardless, you made it. And they don't like that because again, that's that freedom thing, and people being able to produce their own firearms without the government knowing about it. Oh, what a horrible thought in the fevered minds of Democrats who, let's be honest, whether they're ghosts or not ghosts, they hate guns. Okay, and it's just awful. Anyhow, Andy Bashir from down in Kentucky, he wants red flag laws. For the record, red flag laws are bad because they're They lack due process. They deny people their fundamental constitutionally enumerated rights without being convicted. That's bad. It's pre-crime essentially. It's, hey, I think this guy's gonna be bad, so then I get to do something to to deny him his fundamental rights. I think they're gloriously unconstitutional. Gretchen Whitmer's another one. She likes red flag laws. She wants universal background checks. In other words, no private party transactions for you, peasant. She was to ban assault weapons. And then, of course, there's the king Democrat gun hater, the emperor of hating guns, because Democrats hate guns. And this is the big boy, Gavin Newsom. Um, Gavin Newsom wants smart guns. So what's a smart gun, Doug? Well, the easy way to explain it is it's a gun you can't afford. These smart guns, this is like some science fiction, fingerprint reader or whatever, or something that imprints a particular microscopic marking on casings. These kind of they're very high tech, very expensive, and they're the sort of things that no law enforcement department would ever issue their officers because they're not reliable either. They're expensive and unreliable, which to a Democrat that doesn't like guns sounds perfect because it means you can't afford it and you can't reliably use it, which to them is great because they don't want you to have it anyway, whether it's cheap or expensive, right? Remember, these same Democrats also don't like Saturday night specials because they're cheap, right? They're inexpensive, and so they don't like those because they're cheap. And then but they want to force you to have expensive things, but they actually don't even want you to have those. So, but not only does he only want smart guns to be required if you're going to have guns, he wants background checks to buy ammo. Just internalize that for a second. Not to buy the gun. No. To buy ammo. Again, this is just adding laborious steps to discourage people from engaging in the firearms sports and our constitutionally enumerated right to self-defense. He wants to ban high capacity magazines, and he wants you to be able to sue gun makers just about any time for any reason, because litigation is a very powerful weapon in the anti gun movement's arsenal. So, in summary, uh, the Democrats hate guns. They just do. And they have for a little while. They're awful on this issue. This isn't like the old days back in 1990 and earlier when you could actually find pro-gun Democrats. They did exist. In point of fact, if you really want to bake your noodle, uh, Al Gore Jr., when he was a congressman from Tennessee, was A-rated by the NRA. Wrap your head around that, okay? That was a long time ago, right? Long before he was vice president, long before he ran for president. When he was a congressman, he was A-rated by the NRA. Al Bloody Gore, Spotted Owl, Al Gore, yeah, that guy had an A rating from the NRA. There used to be pro gun Democrats, or at least they claimed to be pro gun because they were running in districts where you had to be. It's not like that today. These days, the DNC requires any national level candidate to be at least somewhat anti gun. And again, most of them are rabidly anti gun. None of them are good on this issue at all. Again, I am Doug with Tusk Consulting, tuskconsulting at gmail.com, tuskconsulting at gmail.com. Thanks, everybody. Catch you in the next one.